Fuck is up, YouTube?
What's goody?
We're reacting to do trans athletes have an unfair advantage?
Shout out to Jen for even that's an interesting question. I'm really interested in seeing what they got to say.
A lot of opinions already formed about that.
Hey, just like I just subscribed to him, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe, like, comment, share.
Word. Let's get it.
Now we gotta go back.
What is a woman?
A woman is
having a vagina. Actually, no. Whatever you want to think is a woman.
There's trans men who are now capable of giving birth.
Does questioning make you transphobic?
I'm homophobic. I'm transphobic.
Like, why are you asking these questions right now type thing?
So today I asked about trans athletes. Challenge each person with questions the other side may ask. So let's see what they have to say. Should trans athletes compete against biological women?
People think that they're going to beat them, then they're probably not the best for that competition.
That's like saying like there's like 10 bears that are all fighting each other, and then it's like, wait, let's bring in this one T-Rex, and then let's add that in, and let's see how that kind of goes. And what happens is the T-Rex just destroys
that's
it.
a fair
Trans people are
comparison.
T-Rexes?
I mean, you can say that.
Women's sports is pretty self-descriptive.
Whatever.
Women compete against women.
No matter how many surgery, a woman's body is a woman's body. You can't really change that.
You get on hormone therapy, it does change the hormones within your bodies.
If they're classified as females, they should be able to compete against females. What do I actually think?
Yeah.
I think women should compete against women, and transgenders should compete against transgenders.
Okay. Why do you believe that?
I got my own problems.
I was in the military. Was it fair for a male to do the female PT test?
The woman's PT like a lower standard?
Significantly lower, because a female can only do so much.
I do play men's volleyball though collegiately.
But before we continue, I know damn well I'm not the only one confused. I hope you don't mind me asking,
Right.
were you born a biological male?
Do you have an opinion about this?
There's so many different answers. For me, I feel like trans women should be, and they should have their own category for sports at least, because
correct.
They are, in my opinion, if you were born a man, then
You have
statistically
man
you are
features.
you're stronger. I believe. 'Cause I just personally I couldn't imagine. This is how I look at things. I couldn't imagine my daughter playing what they play, field hockey, and then
even imagine women's boxing by itself.
Oh my God, that's even worse. But I can't imagine my daughter playing any type of physical sport and going in against a trans and seeing her get beat pretty bad. I would think.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't want them to feel left out at all.
That's not. I don't think that's.
No, because that's probably how a lot of them feel, being that they, But I do believe it. Like when it comes to certain things like sports, like you say, it's different. It's very different. It's not like okay, if you feel like a woman, then we don't have no problem calling you a woman. But there's certain things that you can't change.
Yeah, I'm talking specifically physical sports.
Yeah.
You know. Like
Non-binary, I can be female as a gender, and my sex can be male.
Whatever feels best for the day.
How about between Monday and Friday?
Monday and Friday, definitely she, her at my job. It just depends on the vibe.
Depends, yeah. On this channel, we explore the unfamiliar.
What?
Because it's only through genuine conversations that we can change our perspective. But will people be too afraid to speak their truth? With all the controversy, will I be demonetized or even worse, canceled like Chappelle?
Right.
Bro, chill. Ain't no one canceling you with your no subscriber head ass. I guess we gonna see. What is a woman then?
Anyone who identifies as such.
It's just somebody who feels comfortable within femininity.
I don't even want to say femininity because it goes beyond that.
I'm more of a logical person. Kind of actually take that weird Jordan Peterson type stuff, just believing in yourself, and actually affect that towards like gender.
Maybe let's take like a recent controversial issue like abortion. Heard women say, hey, no one should be making laws about us. In that instance, it seems like a woman is someone who is able to have a baby. Does that constitute a woman, or would you still stick with your definition?
A uterus wouldn't make you a woman. I feel like there's so many other parts that are so much more important than just that.
Right. Vagina considers a woman, but if you have the long hair, if you have the nails.
So I think those are pretty big differences, right? Because I could put on nails and hair, but if I identified as a woman, would that make me a woman?
Yeah.
Is there any scientific definitions, or is it just the words become true?
No one decides to become a woman. So no one just wakes up and is like, oh, I feel like being a woman. There are tons of thoughts, decisions, and even social repercussions, like this entire line of questioning that come with coming out as a woman.
But wouldn't that be kind of ignoring some sort of biological,
Double D's.
I don't know, realities?
I think that everybody has their own biological reality, and that's how the world has always worked. But this world is changing every fucking day, and you just gotta keep up with the new time. Are you straight by chance?
I am, yeah.
You identify as straight, and you identify as a male?
Yeah.
So not everybody's gonna follow what your path is, and some people have their own path. And sometimes we just weren't born with that knowledge because we didn't got taught that as children.
Why has it changed over the last few years?
There's trans men who are now capable of giving birth. Whatever makes someone feel better at night and doesn't hurt somebody else, I don't think should matter to anybody.
Okay, so then what will the other side say? Okay, in your mind, do you think there are more than two genders?
Yes. I couldn't identify them all for you. But
I'm an old school, so if I'm growing up, I just know man and woman.
Again, I think I decided that I'm an alien. Do you believe me? And if you don't accept that I'm an alien, then you're wrong. And that just doesn't make logical sense. So you can have your own opinion, your own thoughts, but I think there's one or the other.
Outside of sport, I don't really think it matters.
So obviously both sides have opinions, but do
He
both
thinks like
sides have
us outside of
solutions?
sports.
What do you think is a solution? Do you think
Right.
trans athletes should have their own league? Do you think that sports should be gender neutral?
I've seen some females out there that can kick any guy's ass. I mean, look at fucking Ronda Rousey. She could probably take all her asses up at once.
I don't doubt that at all, but do you think she'll be able to
But-
take a professional
That's
male
different,
UFC fighter?
though.
I mean, look at her. That bitch is vicious. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I feel like you can
You
beat
know
my
what?
ass with those, honestly.
That is true.
What?
She is super strong.
She's
but
super strong, but
generally,
she's not.
women's aren't like
I was
that.
gonna say a man that trains. I mean, I'm sure she can beat men.
The general
but-
woman isn't in the UFC
Right.
fighting category.
Maybe I'll give somebody a black eye with these.
Some women probably think that they're like faster than men, and some men probably think that they'd
Would
be
you
like way better in like
motorboat
a
those?
female, or I'm trying to think of one that typically females are in. Who cheerleading.
Yeah, I think that's
You
the
know, like
only way
big
you could do it
tits.
without pissing people off.
Should our priority be to not piss people off?
Yeah, that is tricky. I guess you have to choose who you want to piss off.
Because then you create more division, right? And you say, oh, well, we're going to make this only. But then it does make it inclusive for them if that's what they want to do.
Will there even be enough to form a league?
Not necessarily, but I think if we're gonna talk about integration, people of color being integrated into our schools, parks, society wasn't normalized until we talked about it. So trans is one of those topics right now that we just have to normalize.
Not gonna work
Yeah,
2 or
I
3
agree.
times as hard to try to compete against someone naturally born as a male.
Which does.
Bro, I just feel like be who you want to be. At the end of the day, be who you want to be. I think as a trans woman or a male that wants, or a female, a mask woman, that's what you're called.
Masculine is mask.
Right, masculine woman. I feel like you just be who you want to be, and you can't be afraid to be who you want to be because of what people are going to think about you. Well, however, I do look at things. They also, the trans woman and like the mask man, or what is it?
Mask woman.
The masked woman and the trans have to also be open-minded to understanding sports. You know what I mean? You are who you want to be. Because even on paperwork, I've signed paperwork recently, and it's like, how do you identify? You know, as a man. So that freedom of speech is the same thing as freedom of character, I believe. So I just think you still have to be open-minded when it comes to certain things like using the restroom, which I'm sure he's going to get into.
Right.
And sports. You know, outside of that, it is what it is. That's how I look at it.
Bring up something that no one wants to talk about. Are trans women taking away women's rights? Because it wasn't until 50 years ago when Title IX granted more equal access to women in sports. But today, when a trans woman receives a roster, is it denying biological women's opportunities? And if there are biological advantages, more times than not, is it denying opportunities to win?
I think you have to ask that population.
If only I knew someone who was trans and also an athlete.
I think someone who is prepubescent and is on hormones before developing natural testosterone, they're not as strong as me.
So should there be an age cutoff then?
yes, their estrogen and testosterone levels have to be tested before competing.
If I'm gonna be real,
That's
I didn't
smart.
expect that answer. In that even with hormone therapy, when you transition matters. So let's explore further on these
I don't know the
advantages.
science
Do you
behind
think
it.
that
me
trans
neither.
women
So
have
I
any
wouldn't
sort of
be able to
advantage
tell
against
you
biological women
that
when it
even
comes
if you
to
didn't test high for
sports?
testosterone.
People can train and become professionals in whatever sport that they want to do, and you have the same ability to do that. Some people grow muscle faster than others, and that has nothing to do with your genitals.
In general, do you think men and women have physical differences?
I think there are physical differences across the plane. We have differences, we're both women. We have differences, we're both women.
I feel like she's playing
There
this
could be
shit.
biological advantages
And
to
not
it,
being
but
logical.
at what point is like that measure quantifiable?
A basketball player is scoring 500 points a game.
I would say that would go into more of the skill than rather than just like
Yeah,
hormonal, like
nah,
insulin.
that
As long as they're on like
can't.
proper treatment,
They
with
would kill
HRT,
them,
And
like-
I actually think at that point it becomes a disadvantage. I am also on estrogen. Like I lost a lot of that muscle, gained a lot of fatigue.
When I used to play soccer, and I felt like it was like better. I felt like I could challenge myself more.
It said that it made you better. Are you saying that men have an advantage over women when it comes to sports?
No, I don't think so. There's
Oh.
like ways in
Have the
which
same
that men
question.
and women can learn from each other in sports.
I guess, but could that be considered a bit unfair for biological women?
I don't think so.
Do you know who LeBron James is? So he's 6'8", 280 pounds. What if he became a trans
Trans,
woman and
exactly.
competed against WNBA players? Would that be something that the WNBA players should just get over?
Like she would have an advantage. At the same time, I don't know. I feel like they could figure it out.
He probably would be in
No.
a league with similarly stacked
kill
women.
them.
There are 6'+ women who
They not
weigh a
gonna be
lot,
able to
who
do
have a lot of
nothing with
musculature,
him.
and probably they'd be playing in the same league.
I think it would just depend on the sport.
I guess what would be a sport where it would be an equal playing
It
field?
can't
I haven't
be
really
the
thought
Wait,
too much
wait.
about it.
I think in swimming it's possible because they're
Swimming?
likely to be more muscular.
And it's something that's actually happened. Leah Thomas was a swimmer at UPenn who started her collegiate career competing on the men's swim team. But during Leah's junior year, she started hormone therapy.
Transitioned to be happy.
Previously, Leah was ranked 65th in the men's 500-yard freestyle, but as a woman,
Leah Thomas pulling away over the final 150 meters, wins the NCAA championship.
she ranked first after winning the national championship. It's controversial to even question this, but sports is competition.
fair.
To avoid falling behind, will more programs start exclusively recruiting trans athletes?
You know, complete what I signed up for.
And it's something the World Swimming Organization has noticed. New rules will now only allow athletes who have transitioned before the age of 12 to compete in women's events. So the more controversial
before the
topics,
age
the more
12,
discussions
that's-
we need.
It's like I'm a big
That's
soccer
reasonable.
fan.
Same.
Like women's
'Cause
soccer and men's
the
soccer
levels
becoming
are-
competitive to the
Because
point
you're
where like some of them
literally
are like
in
asking the
puberty.
same.
Right,
Like at the age of 12, that's
Right.
like middle school.
right.
So you're literally like, if you transition at that age, then that's you're
gonna kill them.
You by the end, by the time that you, if you let's say you compete years later, you're gonna be a full blown woman at that point because you're gonna be getting so many hormones and all that.
Right.
But it's early on.
So they
your
saying-
body can modify.
What are they saying? What is they saying?
They just said that they're making like regulations, like if
That
you
you have to-
transition at the start, look, if you transition at the start of puberty, you have an advantage, which is whatever it is there. But yeah, that makes sense.
Excuse me.
Like records at the same time.
I have to disagree. Well, because I have personal experiences with this. When I was like on a U16 soccer team, we played the Portland Thorns. So they were like the women's champions of that specific year. So they have like Alex Morgan, like a bunch of like these Olympic high level athletes. We killed them 6-1 and we were 15.
A personal experience like that only goes so far. You can have outliers because we're seeing individual women break like certain records and all that.
Against other women.
It is
Yeah,
against other women,
exactly.
but we are also seeing those numbers match very closely to male numbers.
But don't you think numbers are always relative, right? Like, let's say if I joined a 8-year-old league, I'm gonna score 1,000 goals, right?
No, but numbers as far as like stuff like goals or like.
Yeah, I guess like what I'm arguing that it is relative though, right? Because you're comparing a woman who is playing against other women's that record against a man playing against other men, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. With those numbers becoming closer, that is also a good sign that you're gonna move that like the bell curve closer and closer together.
In sports that doesn't require as much physical rigor. Do you think then trans women should be able to compete against biological women?
But people wonder why WNBA and NBA get paid differently. It's because clearly NBA guys are dunking like crazy. But hey, if a girl is at that level, then sure, like go do it.
How about like maybe like something even more consequential like UFC or MMA? Do you think they should be fighting against each other?
So I would think the weight classes could account for that.
I don't know if I agree with them being paid different.
No, the pay shouldn't be different.
If you made it to the WNBA, I feel like you should.
I mean, that's all across the world, like, and it's not even. We're not even talking about trans women. We're talking about regular women. Like, the pay towards men has always been higher than towards women.
I get that it's more See, that's the thing. The reason why it is.
But it's not only in sports. It's
But
like
I'm just saying in sports, the reason why men get paid more is because it's more entertaining to watch men play basketball than versus watching women play basketball.
It's the same sport. Why is
it's the same sport, but more people are gonna watch men. It's statistically shown. So they may not sell out an arena at a WNBA game versus an NBA game. So I kind of get it.
But
business wise,
it's talking like literally across everything.
Women. I think it's unfair.
Jobs,
they still have to
sports, payment towards men is always higher. It's just not fair.
Pete, what about those instances?
You guys can't.
I know I would never be trying to fist fight a man.
Why is that?
My opinion doesn't really matter because I'll never be like involved in that stuff. Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
If I'm a female and I'm training my ass off every fucking day, there's a guy who doesn't have to train as hard as me. He comes in and he beats me. I don't feel like shit. No.
And if anyone's allowed to voice an opinion, shouldn't it be those in competition? But instead, what we're seeing is severe consequences for speaking out.
Because at a certain point, I felt like I had to do something.
Taylor Silverman is a Jewish skater who placed second in 2 different contests to trans women. So fed up, she posted a screenshot of her email to Red Bull, who hosted the contest.
And I knew that people would come after me. I knew that people would come after me for being Jewish.
And what followed was a viral post with tons of comments calling her a transphobe and even some anti-Semitic hate.
The people who are responsible are the contest organizers who allow it to happen.
She's not a
because
trans
the reality is all the
woman?
athletes competing are just going by the rules.
she lost to a
Obviously,
trans
emailing
woman.
Red Bull wasn't a way to start a conversation about it. They did not want to have that conversation at all.
And it's exactly this censorship of discussion that's completely hypocritical to the toted message of tolerance and acceptance. And so it's time to explore further, because we've heard of trans women competing, but why not the reverse? Why do we never hear instances of trans men competing against biological men, but we've heard a lot of instances of trans women competing against biological women?
I am aware of trans professional male athletes who are successful.
But I haven't heard any in the NBA or soccer.
They tend to focus on things that are mainstream.
We just don't necessarily get that in the news as often.
But we've been hearing news about trans women competing against biological women.
How the news is, and that's how this is. It operates on clicks.
Do you think there are instances?
Why are you asking these questions right now type thing?
I'm trying to get closer to what the answer might be. That's why I'm going this approach, asking questions what the other side may ask you.
It's a slightly different approach, and it's nice.
And it's because of misogyny.
This is an instance of a biological woman turning into a man competing against men.
Yeah.
Why would there be misogyny involved then?
Because they don't see they're not seeing them as men. Basically, they're not taking them serious.
So then why do we not see the reverse? Do you think it's just one-sided misogyny, or?
I literally think it's that.
If there's no physiological differences between men and women when it comes to sports, why haven't we heard any instances of that?
Society seems to deem women's sports as needing some sort of assistance. So when they see a trans person competing, they feel as though there's something encroaching on a sport that's already not competing on the same level as men's sports, which is inaccurate. Women's sports are highly competitive, often can compete with men at the same level and win.
What sports?
Like a woman playing against a man tennis player, you can see it being fairly competitive.
And in 1998, Serena and Venus Williams did exactly that. Or tried to. They challenged any professional male player to a match as long as they were outside of the top 200. The challenge was accepted by Karsten Brosch, who was ranked 203rd in the world. And the match was a close one. He beat Serena 6-1 and Venus 6-2.
It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster. I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be.
So now it's time to ask the most important question.
You know what I mean?
That I kept asking myself throughout this
And they're
video.
good as fuck.
Does questioning make you transphobic?
They've been training their whole lives.
No, just talking my honest truth. I would be lying to myself if I say anything else.
I think questioning is fine because it allows to explore the curiosity and become much more understanding. I think once you make a judgment towards it, that's when the phobia comes in.
Well, I know I'm phobic. Well, I'm homophobic, I'm transphobic. If it ain't female, I'm good. Don't come at me with that crazy shit.
When it comes to sports, it's got to be black and white and universal. I'm sure a lot of people won't agree with that.
Do you think we're prioritizing too much of not pissing people off?
That has changed a lot of the ways that people are accepted or desire to be accepted. My whole life, when I see something,
I wonder if there's any trans racist people.
Trans people that are racist? I bet there is. There's
No,
everything
because
in the
I
world.
see one thing I do see is trans stick together.
Oh,
no
yeah.
matter what, black, white, they stick together because they're
LGBTQ.
fighting. I'm sorry, LGBTQ.
No, I mean LGBTQ is not only like trans. It's like the whole gay, homosexual, bisexual community. They all stick together.
They all stick together. Black, white, yellow, green. Puerto
Well, that's
Rican.
another category.
this is what my brain tells me. For me to just say, oh, that's this, and not understand it, that is me disagreeing with myself. And that causes more conflict within. That's also another line that we have to like really be wary of.
Things have changed considerably. Women didn't look like that when I was.
Now more than ever, we need to learn to disagree. But when questioning the current thing means you're whatever phobic, how can we even have these types of conversations?
Exactly.
Where are you from, by the way?
There's a lot of controversy around it in Jamaica, you know, but you know the world is evolving. Probably my opinion might be not someone else's opinion.
And even though I was afraid to make this, what I realized is that if you approach with curiosity, people will speak their truth. And just how people should have the right to do whatever they want with their body.
Have you always felt this way? Is this always something that you wanted to do? Since like childhood, and I wanted to be viewed for myself versus like a gender.
People should also have the right to speak out for their beliefs. Because if there's one guarantee in the world, it's change.
Like the stuff we viewed 200 years ago isn't viewed the same way now. Maintaining a focus of this gradual progression is a good thing.
Navigating change means dealing with the controversies. And it all starts by exploring the unfamiliar.
Is this gonna be broadcasted?
Yes, it'll be on youtube.com. Is that okay?
Well, yeah, it's gotta be.
Oh yeah, he's
Okay,
doing
so
his
if I-
job. Nah, shout out to Jen for that very freaking informative
Video.
That was tough. I think the fact that he took the time to make that approach, because it's not easy doing what he just did. That's fire.
Yeah.
Like, comment, subscribe.
And let us know what you think about the topic in the comments.
Yeah, and if y'all want to see some heated debates, because we have a lot of debates sometimes.
And if you've had any experience as a trans person,
Oh, word.
let us know.
What do y'all think? And yeah, let's get it.